woman. My bad. We're back again. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone from near and far. Greetings, everyone from near and far. I thank you all for coming. I thank you all for attending another episode of the Pen Files, another episode of the book From Pen to Pen. Today, we're going to be going over two components. These two components here are going to look at two different outcomes dealing with the same race. Same race, two different outcomes. So when we talk about same race, what are we talking about? So let's say you're talking about two African-American males engaged in an activity. One of them, he takes this route based on what he's going through. Another one, he takes that route based on what he's going through. We have a situation where we have two African-American youth, both of them subject to low-income household, both of them subject to single-parent household, both of them subject to no leadership, both of them subject to falling victim to the atrocities of our society. However, one of them takes one route, another takes another route. They both end up at the same place, prison. They both end up at the same place, prison. However, this prison facility in this state, in this town, treats the individual this way, while this prison in this state, in this town, treats an individuals another way. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this scenario, the same scenario that I just gave you the example of. We're going to look at this scenario through the eye scope and through the lens of two places. Those places we can look at as and examine these outcomes from the perspective of America and the perspective of the continent, Africa. They said that's a little vague, that's a little big. I said no, because when I said that America was the leading industry for the prison population, America leads the race. America leads the race globally. America leads the race globally across the world, throughout the world, when it comes to incarceration. America has the largest population of inmates housed in state and correctional facility. And we're not even counting in the county. That number is not even included. We're talking about individuals that sentenced, that are doing time. This is the only numbers that's being included. We still have a large portion, a large population of individuals that's not even counted and included in the equation. Because we have a system structure behind detaining individuals. So these individuals are called detainees, individuals who are being detained because of a charge that they allegedly committed. And remember in the beginning, I gave you the scenario about the two youths, low income, they come from low income families. They come from single parent households. These detainees, a large population of individuals. How come? Because they're unable to make bail. a large population of individuals who are unable to make bail. So here we have in our society, right here, in our locale, right here where we live at, in my town, right here, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Okay, killings is killings is the norm here. So we have a system set up in place, whereas though individuals are caught with firearms because of these killings, because of these shootings, this is how they respond. This is the response utilized by a system put in place to control an environment of individuals who are looked at as being out of control. So when an individual is caught with a firearm in his possession, and he's not by law, he's not by law allowed to have this firearm in his possession, his bail may start anywhere from $500,000 to no bail, which means that this individual is not going to be offered the opportunity to make bail. He's going to receive bail. He's going to be granted bail, but however, he comes from what? He comes from a low-income family. $500,000. 10% of $500,000 is $50,000. He has to show up with $50,000 to get out of jail. He has to show up with $50,000 just to get out of bail, get out on bail. And then you have some cases where the individuals receive no bail. What does this do? What does this say? This says that an individual is not going to be released, and he's going to be what? He's going to be placed over in custody as a detainee until he sees a judge. He's going to be placed in custody. He's going to be detained until he goes in front of a judge. And then you're going to see the true reality of this system that we call criminal justice. Because that judge, when he's given the power, when he's given the authority to do that thing called sentence, after an individual is found guilty, and they sentence, he's going to make it his duty to give this individual so much time that when he gets out of jail, see these grades, he's going to look just like that. Young man, 15, 16 years old. Young man, 15, 16, 17 years old. Young man, haven't even seen what life looks like. But when he comes back home and he comes out of home, if he makes it out alive, that's another thing. He has to make it out alive. These are some serious institutions where America houses thousands and thousands of individuals. So we have to ask the $10,000 question. We have to ask the $10,000 question. Is this happening everywhere? Is this the norm everywhere? Of course not. Land of the free, home of the brave. You know the statement. Land of the free, home of the slave. Brave? Where that come from? Where that concept come from? It's some bravery here in America. Yes, some bravery. We're considered one of the superpowers of the world when it comes to military. We're one of the superpowers. Okay, front lines. We're known for being on the front line of many battlefields. We're known. However, we're only as strong as our weakest, and our weakest are housed and confined inside of state and correctional facilities. Our weakest are housed inside of state and federal correctional facilities. Are they being educated before they return back to prison? Are they receiving skills before they return back? Not back to prison, return back to society. Are they receiving skills? Are they receiving education? Are they receiving things that's going to allow them to be competitive in the workforce once they return back to society? Are they receiving the tools that will allow them to be competitive in the workforce when they return back to society? Is this the structure? Is this the structure and the standard that is set up for the individual incarcerated in America's prisons? When we examine the population by races, when we examine the population, the inmate population, state and federal correctional facilities, when we examine the race by population, we examine the population by races. Which race has the most? White, what is their stats? Blacks, what is their stats? Latinos, what is their stats? Asian, what is their stats? When we examine populations by races, the African American community is the largest community housed and confined in these correctional facilities. Should I say it again? Land of the free, land of the free, home of the slave. 1619 Project. Look it up, please. Look it up. The 1619 Project is still in effect. This is the residue. This is the residue from the 1619 Project. Who knows what the 1619 Project is? We could call it the ASO, the origin of the Atlantic Slave Trade. The Atlantic Slave Trade Project. The project that was put together to promote the buying and selling of slaves. The promotion of slavery. The promotion of accumulating slaves. For what? Labor force. This is how you identify with white supremacy. This is how you acknowledge and identify with white supremacy. Huh? Because the white shareholders are the ones that buy the slaves to do what? To put the people to work. So the ones with the money, to buy the slaves, now they putting them to work inside the cotton fields and then the sugarcane and the sugarcane fields, right? Who the labor force is who? Is all black. But the ones that put the money out to buy these individuals are white. So whenever you find a regime, whenever you find an organization, whenever you find a structure, you find a system set up where the money, the administrative body of that organization is white and the labor force is all black, you find yourself looking at it and seeing a project of white supremacy. I can't make this stuff up. ASO's origins. You got to look at origins. You want to find a problem? You want to find a solution to a problem? You got to go back and see where the problem started. Where did the problem start? Snatched away from their homelands, taken away from their homelands, and brought to a place stripped of their identity, stripped of their names, stripped of their belief system, stripped of their religion, made to attesting to believe in a religion other than the religion that they grew up upon, other than the religion that they were raised on, to take on a name other than the name that they were given at birth. The 1619 Project. The 1619 Project. So when you take this same Because it's so much information. It's just too much information for me to give it all to you. All to you at once. It's just too much. I can never give justice to this conversation. I can never give true justice to this conversation. This is why this conversation is put inside of essays. And I wrote volumes and volumes of information constructed behind this information. To give a what? To give a people an understanding of awareness. That light bulb has to come on sooner or later. The 1619 Project has to wake you up. The 1619 Project has to let you know what's really going on. The critical race theory has to help you understand what's going on here in this place called life. But I keep saying the $10,000 question, is this happening anywhere else? We're not preaching hate. We're not preaching hate. We're preaching in what? What are we preaching here? What's the program here? Huh? Opposing inequalities. Opposing inequalities. Opposing stratification. Opposing white supremacy. Opposing racism. That's not hate. Things are known by their opposites. Things are known by their opposites. And if you don't know the opposite of a thing, you have to find it. You have to be able to define what the opposite is. You have to know and understand what the opposite is. What is the opposite of hate? Love. What's the opposite of love? Hate. What's the opposite of knowledge? Ignorance. What's the opposite of certainty? Doubt. You have to be able to understand things by their opposites. In order to fully understand one, you have to fully understand the other. In order to understand what love is, you have to be able to identify with hate. In order for you to be able to truly understand what is love. Because if you're not able to understand and identify with hate, you'll never understand what love is. Because things are known by their opposites. And this is why we say, this is a principle. The people of knowledge, they know the people of ignorance. Why? Because they used to be ignorant. Things are known by their opposites. But the people of ignorance, they don't know the people of knowledge. Why? Because they never had any. How you going to make a comparison if you don't know the difference between the two? How you going to make a comparison? This is why I brought to you a comparison of the American criminal justice system and the African criminal justice system. What did I say? I said, when we look at a population of people, the African American community is the largest population. In order for me to be African American, I had to what? I had to be what? Come from Africa. And now live in America. Because now they have these things, these qualifications, these identifiers to identify an individual. You looked at as what? At one time it was black. At one time it was Negro. At one time it was, come on now, we don't really want to go there. We don't really want to go there. So who's promoting and who's pumping hate? Who's the motivator of hate? Don't even want to identify an individual by the identification that he should be given. A male. He's a male. He's a human being, regardless what color he is. He's a human being. If he lives in America, he's an American. He lives in Africa, he's an African. But since he came from Africa, never been there, you're going to give him the identification of African American. How do you do that? Never stepped foot in Africa. His origin of birth is America. His origin of birth, who his ancestors may be. But as for him, how does he become African American if he never been to Africa? So when we go to Africa and we look at the prison industrial complex, you say, is this real? Is this real? Because there's not a prison industrial complex the likes of anywhere in the world, the likes of America. That's why America is the leading industry for prison population. So when you go to Africa, you're not going to find the same thing. So that when you find these two individuals that I was talking about, who enter the prison industrial complex, but they enter them from two different countries. They enter them from America, and they enter them through Africa. Africa is not a country, it's a continent. So please do not misconstrue what I just said. Please do not misunderstand what I just said. Okay, I'm comparing a what? A country to a continent. A continent is comprised of countries. America is a country comprised of states, cities. Africa's a continent composed of countries. So it's one country up against how many countries? And America still leads the race across the board. Again, I can't make this stuff up. This is a reality. America is the leading industry for prison population. The African American community is 12 to 15% of the American society. 12 to 15% of the American society, but they make up more than 40% of the prison industrial complex. I cannot make this stuff up. The African American community. The United States of America make up 5% of the society global, of the global society. They make up 5% of the global society throughout the world. However, they make up more than 25% of the prison industrial complex globally. So they make up 25%, 1/4 of the prison industrial complex in the world is in America. This 5%. We're talking about a map of the world. The world is global. The world is round, okay? We're talking about a map of the world. 7.5 billion. 7.5 billion people in the world. From that 7.5 billion, 5% of that are Americans. 5% of that are Americans. From that 5%, that makes up more than 25% of the prison industrial complex throughout the world. Again, I cannot make this stuff up, my brothers and my sisters. I cannot make this up. So again, we move forward. When we look at the Hispanic community, this was back in 2009. They made up 1.8. We look at the African American community. They marked it at 4.7. We looked at whites, 0.7. 0.7. They haven't even hit 1. They haven't even reached 1%. Haven't even reached 1%. Now all the other races outside of those 3 races, 1.4. So we take a whole bunch of other races. Whole bunch of other races. But when we come to white, they're 0.7. They're 0.7. This is the mid-year. Mid-year. 2009. This is a statistical table for the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics. BJS. U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics. Statistical analysis. You have to learn it. Statistical analysis. You can't just let people do research for you. You have to learn how to do your own research. You have to how to do your own calculation. You have to learn how to do your own examination. You have to learn how to get educated. How? You got to come and sit in the class. You have to sit in a classroom. You have to sit in a classroom if you want to be educated. You can't keep just watching YouTube. You can't just keep watching, listening to books, reading books, listening to seminars and stuff. You have to sit with a teacher. You have to sit with a scholar. You have to sit with individuals who are learned. You have to sit with people of knowledge who are learned. We have a principle in our religion that says, "Fasalu ahlu dhikr in kuntum la ta'lamun." Ask the people of knowledge when you don't know. Why am I going to ask the layman? Why am I going to ask the layman about this situation and that situation? Where did he learn? Where did he learn? Where did he acquire his knowledge from? He got it from YouTube. He got it off of Google. He didn't want to take the time and make the sacrifices to sit down in the class. 15 weeks straight, this class. 15 weeks straight, that class. 15 weeks straight, that class. First semester. He go back the next semester. 15 weeks straight, that class. And he does it again, and he does it again. Year after year after year. 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 Until he what? Attains scholarship. Until he attains scholarship. Year after year after year. Sitting, learning, being educated in the field that he has passion for. Yeah, hard commodity. Hard commodity. Everyone is not ready to sign up for it. Everybody's not ready for college. Everybody's not ready for education. But everybody thinks they're ready to talk. Everyone thinks they're ready to talk. Everyone thinks they're ready to have a voice. Everyone thinks they're ready, especially the celebrities. You find the celebrities even grabbing a microphone. The celebrities grabbing a microphone. That talent is what? Hollywood. That talent is what? Acting. That talent is not education. That talent is connected to Hollywood. That talent is not connected to education. We find some of them that barely have a high school diploma, but they have a voice. And because of the fact that they're on what? They're on the stepping stone and the platform of their celebrityship, that people are going to listen to. Oh, I'm going to listen to him because he's so-and-so. Oh, I'm going to listen to him because he's so-and-so. But what does so-and-so know about this situation? Who did he sit with? What knowledge does he have? What knowledge does he possess? What school did he graduate? What scholar did he sit with? What essays did he write? Where did he go? And where did he get his information from? And don't say Google. Don't say Google Scholar. Don't say YouTube. How many years did he sit? How many years did he sit continuously in a class learning about the field of criminal justice, learning about incarceration, learning about recidivism, learning about the Board of Probation and Parole, learning about the Board of Pardons, learning about expungement, learning about 3 strikes you out, learning about mandatory minimums, life in prison, life without parole, death by incarceration, learning these things and learning these tools that are used to cripple and dismantle the African-American community right here in America, the Latino community right here in America, all being pushed and promoted by who? A group called white supremacy. All being pumped and promoted by who? A group called white supremacy. All going traced back to what? 1619, the 1619 Project, the Atlantic slave trade. Look it up. Look up the author. Yeah, this is the new Jim Crow. No, my name ain't Jim. Yes, this is the new Jim Crow. Mass incarceration. So what do we do when we talk about the Africans and what they're doing? They have programs set up. They have programs set up in prison so that when individuals go to jail, many of them don't return. That when individuals go to jail, many of them don't return. What is the thesis? What is my thesis? What is my thesis? Each and every individual that goes to an institution, he receives educational or vocational skills, he's less likely to return back to jail. He's less likely to return back to jail. These systems are set up inside Africa. These systems are set up inside Africa. So when we talk about two races, but two different outcomes, in America, the outcome is what? Recidivism. In